Okay, cool. I just ate an Altoid and it is like, does it make you sneeze? And you feel like you need to sneeze too?
Yeah, but it's good.
It's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
It beats the meat stick taste that I had in my mouth.
Oh, that's
Just
nice. That's nice. Yeah.
yeah.
A meat stick does sound good though. Anyway, guys, we are at 2026 SHOT Show. How has it been for you, Lanny?
I would say this is probably the most fun I've ever had at SHOT Show.
A lot of people are saying that. Why is that the case for you?
So I've been to almost every SHOT Show since 2001, which
Whoa.
ages me a little bit. I turned 23 last year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
But so it's one of those things like the thing I look forward to most at SHOT Show is the people. But it again, you go to it so often that it's like the same thing over and over. Right. But this year I've had so much fun because it's been more events.
Yeah.
And instead of just sitting in a booth and doing the same thing. And it's just been a blast. And it seems like there's a different vibe and a different energy this year at SHOT Show too. So
I
been
know
exciting.
exactly what you're talking about. I don't think I've talked to one person that hasn't had an increase. And I think that's because it's almost like, I think it's a heuristic. Like I have surrounded myself with people that are doing great things. And I think as a result, those people are always improving and like connecting with the best brands that represent them the best. So those brands are good brands. So they're having a good time. Like there's a lot of synergy there and build up. So I'm really happy to hear that's the same thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, there in times like this when the industry is not like booming like it normally is.
Yeah.
And, there's good things, there's bad things. You always have to look at the positives. And luckily I've been aligned with a lot of brands that are saying like, listen, sales might not be exploding like they normally do, but the cool thing about right now is we have the opportunity to innovate and make new things and bring out exciting things that people talk about and are excited about and that bring the entire level of the industry up.
Absolutely. Innovation has been the buzzword this year. And I know it sounds kind of silly because the idea of SHOT Show is to share. Sorry, I keep looking at the camera. I don't have someone watching it now, so I have to make sure it's not like turning off randomly on us. I think in years past, right, innovation's been said in a general sense, like SHOT Show, SHOT Show is the show to show what innovations have come out. But the more I'm in this industry, the deeper I get into it, the more I realize how rare true innovation is. And it sounds like this is a year of like some really great things that have come out. It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
It's a really beautiful take on this dip we're seeing. So how's that affected you personally this year? And I'd love to just orient the listeners. If you haven't listened to season 1, Lanny Barnes episode explaining everything about who she is and her incredible past, please go check it out. This episode is more of a, we have zero plans today, but I know whatever we are going to get into is going to be freaking awesome. We have Shotgun Worlds coming up this year, only like 8-9 months from now. Yep. Let's not actually count. I'm kind of keeping that number in my head kind of vaguely because if I know it, I'll freak out. But if it's vague, then I don't have to. Okay. But we have Shotgun Worlds coming up. How exciting.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
So many wonderful things, I'm sure, that I'm excited to hear from you. But if you don't mind, please orient the listeners on who you are, you amazing woman, if you don't mind.
Yeah, so 3-time Olympian, world champion in a couple different shooting disciplines, and just really honestly, I love to shoot any and every kind of gun. And known for, I guess, trick shooting. That's my thing. I like to challenge not only myself but other people. And I'm gonna get you out there, and we're gonna do some fun stuff. And really excited about that.
Absolutely. I've been seeing your tightrope work lately. It always makes me pause on my For You page. Even though this is super random. I downloaded an app called Opal. I'm not working with them. Don't worry, this isn't a sponsored ad or anything. And it blocks me from Instagram so that if I scroll longer than like 30 seconds, all these firewalls come up basically, and then I can't use Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's only been super inconvenient because a lot of my job is on Instagram,
Right.
but it's really kept me from scrolling. So I've actually missed a lot of what my people are doing. And I feel so bad because like I've interviewed a few friends and I'm like, I actually have no idea what you posted recently because I've had Opal blocking me. But something I did take note of is your tightrope work, which is so cool. How did you come across the tightroping?
So in Colorado, slacklining is a big thing.
Slacklining.
Yeah.
Is tightroping a thing, or is it always called?
Well, in the circus, it's
Okay.
Same thing,
Okay.
more or less. But
Slack gliding.
yeah.
Yeah.
Here in Vegas, it's the tightrope, and back in Colorado, it's the slack line.
Okay, cool.
But similar thing.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's really huge out there. I mean, people will stretch these slack lines across huge cliffs.
Yeah.
And walk across, ride a unicycle across, just do all sorts of crazy things. And Coloradans in general. And then there's a lot of, like pot smoking hippies that do it or whatever. But
Right.
as an Olympian, we were always trying to find ways of increasing our balance and getting better at everything that we did. And balance was a huge part of my sport that I did, skiing and shooting. And so I did a lot of things, unicycling, standing on a yoga ball, stuff like that to increase my balance, and realize that by doing those things, it actually helps my shooting. So imagine that.
Crazy. That's amazing. Yeah. Yes, I'll never forget the unicycling we did in the desert. That was well, and when I say we, I don't mean we collectively did it as a group. I mean, Lena was on one side, you were on the other. That was pretty awesome. I think Lena actually did a few strides by herself.
She did.
I think she did, which is very Lena. Like, I gotta prove that I could do this, like, couple strides. I was cool with holding on to you guys the whole time.
Yeah. Well, you'll be there in no time.
Oh, yes. I'm so. That's so funny. That's so exciting. Okay, very cool. Well, what's been new with you since, I think, NRA of 2020, help, 5? Jeez.
Yep.
Yeah. What's been new since then?
Yeah. So a lot of things, I'm back home in Colorado after 3 years out in Nevada, and what an incredible and challenging experience that was. Which, good and bad, I wouldn't trade it for anything, just because of the things that I learned.
Right.
Challenging being away from family and friends, but stepping away from that was the best thing in the world, because I got time with my mom before she passed away in October, and I was able to spend a ton of time with her before she passed. And amazing woman that shaped everything that I did in my life, and a lot of things that I'll be doing going forward. So that was a huge blessing. Got to spend more time with my dad and my twin sister. So family is incredibly important. And just being home with my husband was huge. And so now, like, I'm 100% on my own, doing my own thing. And I think for the rest of my life, I'm going to be self-employed and do what I love, try to inspire as many people as possible, and just have fun doing it.
That is so beautiful. I'm terribly sorry to hear about your mother, and I'd love to pay tribute to her on the podcast. And something that's really special, like every day of my life, I have moments where I'm like, oh, that's my mom and me, And I've heard a little bit about the encouragement your mom gave you and Tracy, and how much of that is based in her. And I see you be a mentor to women in this industry and relentlessly encourage and support other women, including myself. You are like the coolest woman I've ever met. And when I say like, I was just trying to think of a better term, but it's so true. And you come up in Lena and I's conversations. Anytime we talk about something crazy, where like someone's doing something like incredibly, fear provoking and anxiety provoking, we're like, well, Lanny would do it, like, or you're almost like a noun. We're like, it's a Lanny type of activity or something. You're just you push all boundaries, including the relentless support you give to women in the industry. And it's a rare thing. I think a lot of people maybe on the outside think all women support women, but it's not all done to the same concentration degree. And I'd love to know how much of that comes from your mom, and like, do you attribute that mostly to her, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, and thank you. I appreciate that, because I loved any opportunity to talk about her and how amazing she was. And everything that I do is largely because of her, and the great example that she set. I mean, she was a teacher for almost 30 years. And she was one of those teachers, you either loved her or you hated her, because she was so hard. She didn't cut anybody slack, including my sisters and I, who took her. Well, actually, she's harder on us.
Right.
But people are like, oh, well, she was just a teacher. But the thing is like, not only did she work hard for the little amount of pay that she had, she went above and beyond. And by doing that, she set an example for her daughters. So she had three girls, yeah, two Olympians and a surgeon. And I've posted this in the past where it's like a 0.0000198 or something percent chance that a mother will have two Olympians and a surgeon.
Yeah.
So I mean, she's the impossible. I like her. She set such a good example of how to work hard and be successful. And we followed her lead. And it was just amazing how much dedication she put into helping the next generations. And I mean, when we had her funeral and her celebration of life, like so many stories of people coming back and being like, your mom inspired me to do this. Your mom inspired me to do this. And so she didn't just inspire my sisters and I. She inspired thousands and thousands of kids to do amazing things. And the ripple effect of that, will go on forever. And what she taught me that I love the most in the world, even probably more than shooting, is to teach and to give back. And I love to teach and I love to, especially people that are new to shooting and things like that, help them overcome their fears and find that love and that passion. Because she taught biology and a lot of different sciences and stuff like that. For a lot of kids, that's not their thing, but majority of the students in her class ended up loving science because of her. She had ways, like she'd dress up in costumes and stuff like that and do these cool experiments. And, she didn't have to. She could have showed movies like the rest of the teachers, yeah, but she went above and beyond and everybody loved her for it.
That's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, teachers are, man, I'm just off the bat, I'm thinking about how much time I spent with teachers compared to even like my own parents. And they're entrusted to do some molding from the very beginning, and it takes a special soul to shape them the right way, right? Like a way like your mother did. And especially with science, that's really lovely. My, how like everyone hates chemistry. I had a chemistry teacher in high school, and she was the most incredible person, Miss Brewer. I'll never forget. And she's the reason I went into biochem in undergrad and like wasn't so afraid of pre-med. And I know I dropped out of medical school, but she was the first person to make chemistry fun. And she was my first impression of chemistry. That's actually how I should say that. She was my first impression, and we know how important first impressions are. Mm-hmm. So it's incredible how much teachers can shape students and how much, well, they can shape them in any shape, right? They can make it good or bad kind of thing, or morally gray even. But I think it's really lovely that she did that not only for you all, but people that weren't even her own. That speaks volumes,
Absolutely.
So that's lovely. Thank you for sharing that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. Very cool. And I got to meet Tracy this weekend. It was week. I think I freaked her out a little bit. I don't know. But I did that thing where I was like, oh my gosh, so good to meet you. And then I like walked away with Lisa, and I was like, damn it, she's going to think I'm such a weirdo. And Lisa was like, you're fine. It's just who you are.
No, you walked away, and I'm like, Tracy, she's one of my favorite people on the planet.
Yay. Okay. Yeah, very cool. Cool.
No,
so like, okay, you protected me from the, I'm just kidding.
Wow. No, and I told Tracy about you before. So
nice.
Yeah, okay, she knew. And it's one of those things when you're a twin, it's again, it's another thing that shaped me and who I am. Because I've had to think about someone else since birth. You don't have a choice. You come out of the womb with someone else. And so whenever I get to do things with her, it's always so much more fun. We come to SHOT Show, and there's some people that know Tracy, and there's some people that know me. And so I get called Tracy, and she gets called Lanny all the time. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
To people.
Okay, good. That's freaking awesome. I love it. And I bet it's wild for people to see you guys together. It's like, you all, how far do you live now?
She's on my way into town, so we're not too far from each other.
Yeah. Good. Okay, so I'm thinking about before when you lived in Nevada. Okay. All right. Gotcha. No, that's lovely. Yeah. I actually thought about bringing my middle sister to SHOT Show. She's an opera singer though. So I feel like Tracy's integration into SHOT Show, there's no integration. I mean, she's done all the things that like, I don't want to say earn you into SHOT Show, but like make you SHOT Show, ready, I guess. Like you're part of the industry in a way. And Jay was like, I'm nervous about the conversations where people ask me what I do in the industry. 'Cause she was like, I would just talk about opera and then I'll bore them or something. And but the idea of coming with a sibling, that would be so much fun. It's such an emotionally like exhausting, it can be experience. And it's not even because things are negative, but if you have a lot of a good thing, and not a lot of time for decompression and like self time, it can be tiring. So that's awesome. Did you get to do anything fun, or sorry, what were you gonna say?
Well, we did do a lot of fun things throughout the week. And I forced her to go to the Gundies with me, and
Yes.
but I think it would have been really cool if you did bring your sister, because I've always wanted to get the outside perspective of SHOT Show, and also show people that, like, it's not just a bunch of crazy people with running around with guns, stuff like that. Like, it's just normal, everyday people, amazing people,
Yes.
that just really have a passion for firearms or protecting people or teaching or
Yes.
things like that. So I think it would have been amazing bringing your sister here, especially being an opera singer, and getting her perspective,
Yes.
because what a lot of people don't realize is there's so much crossover. Like, it doesn't matter what industry you're in. You love singing. We love singing too, but with guns.
Right.
Like,
Yes.
we make our guns sing.
Right.
And so, there's with the big divide we have in this country, like, if we can break down those barriers and be like, we're actually a lot more similar than you think. And there's, you have a passion for one thing, I have a passion for another thing, and we have a lot more common ground than you think.
Absolutely. So I'm with you on that. I like that a lot.
This episode of She Shield is brought to you by Right to Bear. You've probably heard me say that self-defense is more than simply carrying a firearm. It's awareness, avoidance, and preparation for anything that is to come your way. And that's why I'm partnering with Right to Bear. They stand by defenders like you and me. You'll receive benefits like expert witness support, psychological care, gun replacement, and even protection for other lawful self-defense tools like pepper spray, knives, and even your hands and feet if you have to use them in a struggle. What sets Right to Bear apart is that they are dedicated to education and immediate legal response. In case you do ever have to protect yourself, you have access to a 24/7 attorney-answered emergency hotline so that you are never alone. What I love most, though, has to be the personal connection that Right to Bear will have with you as a member. For example, Frank, the president of Right to Bear, will give you a personal phone call when he hears about a claim being filed. That level of care in the industry is extremely rare. If you carry, train, and believe in thinking ahead to protect yourself and your family, consider getting a membership with Right to Bear. If you use my code FIT4FIA10, you will get 10% off your membership, and the link to access this and to learn more is located in the show notes of this episode, which are the notes below the title. Protecting yourself and your family should not leave you defenseless afterwards. Stay safe and stay vigilant with Right to Bear.
I'll have to bring her. That will be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing is I'm running around with guns as if we could carry guns here. You know what I mean? Like, you're not even supposed to carry guns here, guys, actually. But yeah, absolutely. I think the coolest thing about this podcast, I feel like I say something about the podcast on the podcast, every podcast episode, but is that I start with the individual and how they are in the industry integrated. It's not just about industry concepts or gear or anything like that. It's really lovely to see where people have come from, because they always mention their resources, right? And this podcast started as a way to spread resources. So it's really lovely to be able to do that. And it's fun to see like first time people at SHOT Show and like the overwhelm they get with like how there's so many opportunities. I can't believe it's Friday, by the way. Did the week just flash by for you?
It always does. Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is the first year it actually flashed by, though, because my first year, and I've not spoken really with the guest speaker about SHOT Show itself, but it is something I've wanted to talk about because I think a lot of people are curious about what it is, and they're kind of just like looking at these stories of like the cool parties and like the booths, and it's like it kind of just looks like you're here for fun. But the first year I was here for fun. The second year I was like business, only business, and then third year was like a balance, and this year is it's business, and it has like I've had a little bit of fun, but it's been within the parameters of being able to do business as well as I can. So it's like today I probably had like an 80-20 balance this SHOT Show, which is like the most perfect balance in my opinion. But
yeah. Well, I think, it's hard. Social media, you always see the best of everything, right?
And yeah,
what you don't see is the countless hours of meetings and real serious work of trying to move the industry in the right direction. I mean, the whole premise of the show is for manufacturers to meet with dealers and distributors and things like that, and industry trade show. So it's how can we move products and this industry to consumers and forward and bring up the level of the industry so that everybody is successful and we can continue this industry on for generations. And so a lot of people get this false sense that SHOT Show is all about the parties and the range days and the fun and signing autographs and this and that, and it's really not about that. It's about these businesses getting together and working together to create a better industry.
Absolutely. I love that. I think there are a few people it is just fun, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think to assume that that's everyone's like prerogative was very much not the case.
Yeah.
Today's the first day I haven't had to sprint to the bathroom and back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where it's like you're like counting down the seconds. You're like, why am I peeing so long? Like I have to get out of here.
Yeah.
So but today's like the first day I'm not doing that, which is so funny. But yeah, I love that. Speaking of innovations, what are your kind of goals for this year and what you're looking forward to do? I know you mentioned it in 2025 on the, when we were at the NRA, but now that you've been around family, I would imagine some things have shifted, or at least priorities have become more concentrated. So your goals this year?
Yeah. So I'm actually really excited about this year and the next couple of years. I haven't had as much opportunity to shoot the last couple of years as I wanted to, but that was fine. I was working on building and creating opportunities for other people, and you need to do that.
Yeah.
As my mother, you have to give back,
right,
and create opportunities for others, teaching and stuff like that. So that was my main focus. And now I'm going back to my roots of shooting and competing. And I've got some really incredible challenges that I have coming up. And I haven't announced to anybody yet, and I'm going to probably next week.
Okay.
Some really exciting things that I'm going to be doing this year.
Beautiful. This probably won't come out for another 6 weeks, if that helps you.
Yeah.
But also don't feel there's no pressure. So if you wanted to share something, you can. And I can also hold it off as long as we need to. It's whatever is best for you.
Yeah.
It can just be ambiguous.
So my goal, and I haven't put a lot of this out there yet, but I'm happy to share with you.
I will text you before it releases. I'll make sure the date is right. Just a side note. Okay.
You're fine.
Okay.
You're fine. But what I'm going to be doing is challenging not only myself, but a lot of other people in the industry for different things. And the ultimate goal is to bring the level of shooting up for the entire industry, and not just myself.
Yeah.
But shooting sports have kind of reached a level of that they're a little bit stagnant right now. Numbers are dropping off. They're expensive. So I've crafted a way of creating these challenges and things like that. Not standing on a yoga ball and shooting, but like challenges that anybody and everybody can do. And I'm really excited about it.
Me too. Oh my gosh.
But it's something that the father and daughter can go to the range and try this challenge. And you and I can go to the range and challenge each other to it. And, the really fast guys can do it, and there'll be speed challenges, accuracy challenges, all sorts of different things that people will be able to do to go out and have a little bit more fun during their range time and think a little bit outside the box, bring their level of shooting up, and just have more fun in general. So
hell yeah, that's so exciting.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah,
especially coming from you, right? You've done things in the top 1% of the shooting sports, and it's incredible. The top of 1%. Does that make sense? Okay, cool. So for you to come and say, I think I love the way Lena phrases the way she's in this industry. She wants to be a greeter at the front door. I'm not claiming to have that, for that to be God, sorry. So Friday of SHOT Show, here we go. And we're back. I like that Lena says that she's this greeter at the front of the firearms industry door. And I see you as the same way. Especially, you know, there's a good example with me going to Shotgun Worlds and being a baby in it. Like, you all have been nothing but supportive. You you trying to get me on your team and everything. That was so much fun.
I didn't win that one, but you're still in there doing it, and that just makes me happy. So
thank you. I'm so excited.
Yeah.
So with that said, I think it's really lovely that you are making that initiative. You're someone who has shown, you know, what happens when you push your limits, you know, all the way. And now you're coming back, you're giving back, and you're seeing how you can help people get in and have fun with it. It's easy to stop having fun, especially, you know, I come from the self-defense side. So my time at the range, I always work in retention shooting, draws to full presentation, retention to full presentation. You know, I switch up all my different movements, even do some blade work when no one's watching. It looks weird when there are people, but I see it as like functional. You know, I have this much time, I have this many rounds, I need to do this. And then when I go and I do something with Lena where we, like, you know, she challenges me to something, I realize it's so much fun. So to have someone like you to set what those parameters could be, like actually give a drill and give an example of what that could be, because having fun at the range, if you don't know how to do that and challenge yourself, it's really hard. You know, it's like throwing something at the wall, hoping it will stick, kind of thing. So
yeah, absolutely.
That's exciting.
Well, and you know, there's so many things out there. You know, everybody's like, oh, I got to go to the range and just do a bunch of build drills and things like that. And that's one thing that I struggled with after I retired from the Olympics is having that motivation to do the drills that make you better. And there's nothing wrong with those. And I think that everybody needs to do all the drills, and they've been around forever because they help you improve. Right. You know, but there's also ways of thinking outside the box that will help you to reach the level you want to reach. And if you're having fun, you're going to improve. And, you know, especially if you're adding a little bit of pressure by doing a challenge, even if it's just against yourself and the timer, you know, you're going to improve. You're shooting against someone else, you know, and encouraging other people to do that and enjoy it. It's just going to bring the whole level of the industry up.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm excited for you. I'm excited. I think that, first of all, Lena and I are going to have to do some and film it and send it to you. If not, do them all together. That's just a no-brainer. So I'm excited for her to learn about this. If she doesn't already know, I know you guys catch up. But also, Shotgun Worlds is coming up, and that's where like technical training will come in. And I know it's going to look different, you know, for you compared to me. My training is going to be like, I feel like I'm going to be learning the basics. You know what I mean? Well, actually, let me not assume. Let me just ask you, what does training for a Shotgun Worlds look like for you at this point with so much shotgun experience? Let me just stop talking for a moment.
Yeah. So I've done 2 Shotgun Worlds, so I wouldn't say I'm the most experienced ever, but
Got you.
I was fortunate enough to win the last Open, so I'm hopefully going back to defend my title.
Absolutely.
Which I like to call, the only reason I like to call it out is it puts more pressure on me, which I want.
I like it. Okay.
Because yes, you have
that
pressure, it forces you to work hard and whatever.
I like that.
But it shouldn't be much different from what you're doing, because there's a brilliance in the basics. You know, you have to work on those. And if you can execute the basic things, that's all you need to do.
That's a good point.
You know, and that's why I do all this crazy stuff: shooting off a unicycle, shooting off a slack line, shooting off a yoga ball, shooting upside down with a pinky. You know, so all things Lena and her dad and a lot of other people, and Kay.
Yes,
I love Kay.
But
a lot of people in the industry do.
Yeah,
and it's because if you have the basics down, it applies to everything,
right?
And you can do anything you want.
Like
that. You know, so again, you have to go back to those basics of like, okay, as long as I execute the shot, this is a good hit. Move on to the next one. That's a good hit, and so on and so forth. Okay, it just makes it that much easier. So we're gonna be doing a lot of the same things.
Oh yeah,
and hopefully training a lot together.
Oh yes, I'm very excited for that. I, for some reason, you guys were like, hey, does this week work for shotgun camp? And I was like, yep, that next week, like the weekend right after that week is a tactical games event. And Lena was like, Sophia, I was like, I didn't check my schedule. And she was like, uh-oh. She was like, but it's going to be fine. She's like, you'll just go from one thing to the next. She's like, you love to rally. You'll be good.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a really interesting week.
No, that's fine. Because like,
excited.
And everybody's always, it's one of those things where you get so many competitors and they're like, you have to focus just on this.
Right.
And yes, there is a time and place where, if like you're getting down to the home stretch of shotgun worlds, maybe not quite as much handgun and rifle and,
right.
like that.
I'm
but
prepared for that.
If you bring in the mindset of like, I am going to learn something from handgun.
Yes.
That is going to transfer over and help me with my shotgun.
Right.
There's the possibilities are endless.
Right.
I see so many shooters limiting themselves and there's nothing wrong with focusing on one discipline. Sure. But you cross train in a lot of physical sports and other activities. So why not cross train in shooting?
Absolutely.
Not just physically with other guns, but cross train the brain.
I like that. So, I like that. Yeah, and you're the queen of that. You're the queen of that. Like literally, like actually on a tightrope with a gun and like something on top of your head.
So this is a little crazy and what not everybody will relate to this, but so I was doing a challenge where I was jump roping and shooting, right? But when I was doing it, what the things that I've learned, sorry.
No, don't be sorry. My jaw just dropped. I was trying to think. I can barely jump rope. So
yeah. So my husband was doing the rope for me while I was jumping. So I wasn't like I was I had a gun in my hand. So I was just jumping.
That's so cool.
But the things that I learned from it. Okay. So while I was jumping, I was clenching my toes so hard because I hadn't jump rope since I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I was nervous about it and trying to focus on the rope and the targets. And so there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
Which helped me in my shooting.
Okay.
But I was clenching my toes so much that tension translated into massive tension in my entire body.
Interesting.
And the more tension I had here, the more movement I had.
Huh.
And so it taught me that yes, while we are standing square at the target, we want to have a lot of good tension. But if we're moving and shooting and things like that, so, not everybody does that. But if you're competing, whether it's action shooting or if it's self-defense and you're moving to cover or whatever it is, that skill can be beneficial for some people. The more tension you have, it can it might be harmful because it might translate into too much tension, which causes a lot more movement while you're moving. So it just, anytime I do something like that, I pick up on little nuances of like, okay, so if I'm moving and shooting, I might not have as much tension as if I'm just standing there square of the target, really aggressive going after it. So it's just little things like that I pick up on that help.
So interesting. Yeah. The only touch point I really have for that is like I explain to students when they're gripping the gun, if they're super tense, they have a hard time like pulling the trigger. And so I have them like squeeze their hand really hard and feel the difference between pulling, the trigger with their index finger compared to relaxing their hand and pulling it. Would you say it's the same concept or adjacent?
Very similar. Yeah. I mean, and it's funny. Like you hear so much stuff out there on the internet and like, oh, well, I've heard people like, you have to grip it as hard as you can. You can't over grip. I'm sure you've heard that.
Oh yeah.
And then there's other people that are like, no, just relax this or relax that or, whatever. And so I'm not going to get into that whole debate on what's wrong or right. But, and some people are like, well, there's no wrong way or right way. There's your way, or all the top shooters are doing this, so you have to do this, and that's why we all do this is because this is the only thing that works. And I generally have the approach of like everybody's a little bit different, so you might have, yes, you can do a lot of the same things that the pros are doing, but you might have a little bit of tweak here and there that just makes you particularly a little bit better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. I really like that. I've not done much trick shooting. I think because I've come from the combatives realm, I was like 0 to 5 feet, 7 feet, maybe, you know, and then USPSA has like stretched me beyond that. And I think that's the most fun I've had with shooting. And now I'm wanting to take that more seriously this year. And I'm working with, you know, Joey Sauerland and his dry fire program. And I have a friend I dry fire with now in the morning. So I'm like meeting her every morning, 7:30 a.m. Okay, minus like 1 day a week. I'm like, girl, I'm way too sore. Like my body needs recovery.
Well, your body and your mind need recovery.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Yes. And so we're being a little bit more realistic now, but she's also my tag games training partner. So, and team partner for that. But we were meeting at 7:30, lifting, and then going and doing dry fire together. And I went out to the range with her and Lena the other day, and it was supposed to be just like a fun range day, but we worked in some drills and actually had a good time. It was like the first time I'd done anything like that. That wasn't like a USPSA event or a class I went and took. And I don't know, it just built that back in like, oh yeah, this is super fun. Like this is how I got involved. And yeah, I love it. I love the community. Yeah. So switching gears to shotgun, not that we haven't talked about it, but shotgun is a topic that's been coming up a lot because Lena and I have had discussions around it, getting sponsors for World Shoot. And something I'm really thankful for with Lena is that it's such an intimidating platform. Pistol is intimidating in its own right, but shotgun is like, you know, it's the thing that people are like, oh, I bruised my shoulder and like it hit my jaw, you know, when they weren't like, you know, keyed into it properly. So it like, you know, the recoil was disconnected from their body and it hits them and it hurts and leaves a bruise. So I think there's this kind of element of fear with shotgun because it's so powerful and it's so large and you have to get your whole body behind it. But it is so much fun, like in its own way. Would you say that shotgun is an underserved kind of discipline within the firearms industry because of that? Do you agree? Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know, it's just like a lot of things. You know, shotgun is one of those things growing up, I always heard the stories of some guy throwing in a 3.5-inch, you know, Magnum in a shotgun and handing it over to some tiny little girl and say, shoot this. And it knocks her off her feet. And all of a sudden she hates guns for the rest of her life. You know?
Yeah.
And
yeah,
I have that picture in my mind constantly when it comes to shotguns. And I leave it there because it's one of those things where, experiences, and we talked about this a little bit earlier, if you don't have a good first experience, it's hard to go back.
Yeah.
You know, so that I think about that a lot when I teach people and stuff like that. But with shotgun, especially if, you know, I'm 5'3" and I can get pushed around easily with a shotgun, but I love it.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's just one of those things as far as shotgun goes, we need to overcome that stigma of like, it's going to hurt you. It's going to, you know, whatever. It's just like anything. If you have a handgun, if you don't hold it properly, you know, you're going to get a lot of muzzle flip and it could be scary and it's going to slip out of your hand or your hand could slip. And, you know, we just need people to be better about creating better experiences for people with shotgun when they first go out. And not be that like, haha, try this, you know, type of thing.
Absolutely.
And the more people that get into it like you and show that, you know, it's not bad. It's fun and it's exciting and you know, it's no different than any other platform.
Yeah.
You can shoot it.
Right.
And enjoy it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. And I think I was really nervous about the concept of chokes. Like that's not a thing in pistol and the different ammo from stage to stage. But it's really not. What's cool about shotgun is if you're interested in it at all, you can take it on for defensive purposes. But just like USPSA, you can do USPSA for the purpose of learning handgun skills and like getting more proficient with your firearm as long as you know, scale it appropriately. Like don't go too fast when you're not comfortable running with a gun. Maybe like plant and then shoot as opposed to moving on the shoot. Moving on the shoot, shooting on the move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's the cool thing about shotgun. You know, you can take it on for defensive purposes, kind of like I did, and then also like use competition to grow in that. And then you get to meet people like Lanny, and you get to go shoot around people like Lanny. So I'm so excited for our training events. I watched you all do your PCC one, but I'm so excited to be part of it now.
Yeah, no, it's going to be great. And we had so much fun last year. So I'm glad we got our little training team and whatnot. what I love about shotgun is that, and a lot of people don't realize this, is it's more forgiving than handgun and rifle. So you almost can have a lot more success with it than you do with handgun and rifle. So that's why I encourage people dive into shotgun. Just the two things. Make sure you have good contact here, and you're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
And so again, it's more forgiving. You can have a lot more success. So jump into it and have fun.
I love it. Yeah. I'm very excited for it. It's awesome. Well, this has been a lovely conversation. I am weary of time because you need to get to your next thing that we talked about.
Yeah.
What would you like to leave the listeners with, Lanny?
I would like to say, something that I always say. I am probably your biggest cheerleader, and I love you to death. And
You are.
I'm a cheerleader for a lot of people.
Yes.
Because I'm a firm believer, and you can do anything you put your mind to. And I just want to say, don't sell yourself short. Go out there and do whatever you want to do, because the only thing holding you back is you and your mind. You can do anything you put your mind to.
I love that. Yeah, you are the epitome of that. So thank you so much. I appreciate you. I always love catching up with you. I can't wait for this to go out. When we released the last episode with you, I remember submitting it and thinking this is going to inspire people. Like, it was really like it's a proud moment to hit publish and to get that email that says your video has been published. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. Anytime. Great.